right. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Just kind of wrap up, Saturday. It was a great night, for our team. To be able to get that win, it's huge for our university, for our program. For all former players, for every member of our program. I mean, it's a game that we put a lot of emphasis on, each year, and it's to be able to leave that field with our third straight victory over that opponent is big. It's something that I was proud of our guys of just all the things that we worked for, how they responded throughout the game. I mean, you can watch it and see. I mean, there were plays that obviously we'd like to have back. Some good, some bad. All of it that showed up. But I mean, our team, they had great confidence throughout the course of the game. The sideline was awesome. The support, the encouragement, and then I thought our guys played really, really hard. Played physical. We made the plays necessary when we needed to be made. I love seeing guys, Jeren Jones finishing up with that interception and just, what he did, and what he's done throughout his career. I mean, it was just such a great ending. I was proud of him for that. I know we kind of mentioned some of those guys, there in the post-game press conference that have, guys that have been on the journey for the last, 4 years, and to see and to be a part of, a lot of the transitions that we've had here, and just kind of where we are, and to see them show up and play big in that game was really cool to see. And there was it was a three-phase game. You saw our special teams, I thought, showed up huge. Going back and watching it, from Alex flipping the field, the field position battle, being able to make an impact. Our coverage units were great. Our kickoff covered. We got great kicks. I think they tried to return two, and guys, we were able to pin them and have long fields. And then the return unit, showing up. I mean, I thought it was awesome. Just watching the guys and the energy and the effort that was being put in. I called out, Trey Jacobs, Vendravius. He was, I think he played 2 snaps in the game. And I always tell our players, you never know, when your moment's gonna, when you're gonna be called upon, and when your moment's gonna show up. And he had probably one of the better blocks in the game, and it was. I think he played 2 plays and all effort and everything he had in that moment, and actually helped kind of provide a seam for Keon. And you just, when Keon broke into the open field, just watch the effort of our guys chasing him down the field, and the excitement and the joy for a special teams play that was big. And it was obviously Keon did a great job on it, but it was when you watch the 10 other guys that did their job and played a significant role in helping create that space. And you see just the constant ebb and flow. I mean, that game's going to be challenging. You're going to have momentum swings. I don't care what year it is, what it looks like. I mean, that we were a couple plays away from making that game a lot I guess less close. If we would have executed in certain moments or had a little different outcome, but it didn't happen. And they made some plays. They did a good job in a couple areas, and it came down to 1-score game. And you look back in the history of that game, I think since 2000, I saw a stat somewhere. It was, I think, 18 of the last 22 or 23 games have come within a 8-point game. And I mean, that's what a rivalry game is going to be. And so you got to be prepared for that moment. And how we train, what we do, everything we build our players up for is to prepare them for those swings. And I thought they handled it really well, and did what was necessary to win it. Obviously, hit a couple benchmarks. Being able to have our 26-10 win season, pretty big. It's big for our program. I know we've talked about it before, but you get a chance to change the walls, change the number on the walls here at Florida State. You've done something special. And, this team will be remembered because of that. And, we're still, just on our path, on our journey to take another step. To go undefeated in ACC play was big. These guys they've battled, they've worked, and it was definitely an impressive feat to see them be able to accomplish that. And we know what that sets up for here in a few weeks. But as we jump into this week, it's still about our growth. It's about our improvement. There's plenty of mistakes and things that we have to correct and we have to get better at. And our guys understand that. And we met last night. We practiced last night. We squatted yesterday. I mean, it is work. It is time. It is going to get better. That's our focus. And as we get a chance to come into this week, I mean, there's a lot of things that you get a chance to be celebrated this week. I mean, this is going to be our seniors, our senior day, our seniors last home game. That's something that it means a lot to me. And I'm going to kind of mention. I mean, you can go through. The guys that have been here, the guys that have come here, that have really poured everything they have into this program, into what we ask them to do, as a football player, but equally as much what it is to be a Florida State Seminole and how they have to represent this program, and obviously all the great players and the wonderful tradition that we have to honor in what we do and how we do it, and who they are off the field, what they do on the field. This is a group that deserves to be celebrated, and I'm just so excited for what they've done, and obviously to be able to recognize them, as we go out there on Saturday, and also a very special occasion. We get to celebrate the 2013 national championship team, and we got a great number of those guys coming back. Here this weekend, and it's going to be a special event, a special recognition of all that they did. One of the greatest teams in the history of college football, and to be able to honor their accomplishments is really going to be big. And glad we're going to have a majority of those guys back to be able to celebrate them. But like I said, it's all about the work this week and continuing to push, continuing to grow, continuing to get better. But it was another big step that we took last week, and we've got a big one here in front of us as we get a chance to put a stamp on our last home game here at Doak Campbell Stadium for this year.
Our first question will be Ira on your right.
I'm guessing based on what you just said, I may have an idea what the answer is, but after this physical stretch, you guys had some very physical games, and you've got some huge games coming up down the road. Is there any temptation to giving some guys some time this week to heal and get better as you get ready for the?
Oh, we need to go get better. Like, that's what we need to do, and but it's not just the physical. It's the mental. It's the execution. We have to get better as a program. There's some guys. We got bumps and bruises and things like that. Human nature wants to pull back. I mean, that's just reality. You come off a physical game, and everything in you wants to take a deep breath. And well, we're playing an FCS opponent, and obviously we respect this game. We respect our responsibility. We respect who we're playing. We're going to respect all things that are necessary to go out and be better than we've ever been come Saturday. Right? And that's what I challenge our players with. This is the last. We're going to respect these guys that are playing in their last game at home. And if it's not the best game that we've played, then we have failed. We've come up short. Right? We've not hit the mark. Right? And that's where it's easy to want to give into that human desire of, oh, maybe we can just pull back a little bit. Then you're not going to accomplish the things that are out there for us. And we're going to be smart with our players. We're going to make sure that everything we have planned, from when we started in the summer to where we are now. I mean, everything is planned for what it needs to look like and what it's going to be. But we're going to work, and that's why we came in yesterday. And it's business as usual as we continue to grow. Because if we don't get better this week, we're not going to be in position for the things that are ahead. We know we're going to get to play in the conference championship game. We know, you don't have to, but it's about today. It's about what you do today. It's about what you do this week. It's about we did not play a perfect game last game. We made some mistakes that were costly in that game. We have to be better. Coaches, players, everybody involved. But if we don't apply those lessons, we're not achieving the objective of what we set out for. All the things we've done to get to where we're 10-0, and I'm excited to be 10-0. Right? I'm proud of our players to be 10-0. I'm proud of them but I've watched them grow. I watched them make investment. I've watched them pour what all they have into each other, into this team, into each step that's been necessary. If we don't do that this week, man, it will be devastating for our program, right? Because that's what we're built on. And so man, we're going to respect this game, and we're going to respect the opportunity. We're going to respect all the work that these guys have poured in to get to this point, and we're going to go improve this week.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here. This being, I mean, of one of those seniors, Jordan obviously is one of the guys this week who's being honored his last game at Doak. You've had a lot of memories with him, I'm sure. I mean, can I put you on the spot about a couple that stand out moments or memories from your time with Jordan?
It's the whole journey. I mean, you can't just put with him. Can't be just about a glimpse or even just a game, or I mean, it's just who he is. And you're watching him grow, watching him improve, watching him care, watching him invest. The confidence that has been built. Just in who he is and what he's all about. I mean, he is a tremendous person. He's a tremendous leader. He represents Florida State the way it should be represented. So, I think the consistency of his character is something that stands out to me. And it's not always you can pick in each game. I mean, there's moments and opportunities that he gets to make the choice of what it's going to be and what he's going to do, and he fights for this team. I thought one of the great plays there the other day was a third down, and ran a little speed option play, and had to cut up the field. I mean, he lowers his shoulder, but everything he had to go get a couple extra yards. Right, and that was, those things are just, and I love his passion to do what he could do all that he can to help this team. And so, not to point out any just like specific moments. I mean, he's had a bunch of great moments, and he'll have a lot of plays and a lot of games that people will talk about forever. He's broke some records, and I thought it was pretty remarkable that the first starting quarterback at Florida State to go 3-0 against that last team, and that's something that'll be remembered. But I don't want to just put it into a couple of games, because he's so much more than that.
We'll come to Chris, front row on your left.
You mentioned honoring the 2013 team this season. You've had the opportunity to honor 93 and now 13. Do you allow yourself to have a moment to enjoy those guys and understand what they represent now that you represent them, and all of that comes with that, even though you have a game on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't, then you're cheating all that they did. I mean, those teams were special. Those teams, we do. It's not just like we're going to recognize them as a team there Saturday, but it's about recognizing we bring the past players back. Every home game, they have an opportunity, to come and be a part of, our Friday night. Whenever we're on the road, if they're in the area, they have an opportunity to come be around the team. The guys that have come and laid the foundation before us, they deserve to be recognized. They deserve to be celebrated. I mean, because they've made this program what we get to be a part of. And so, I'm glad that we have a game and a moment, but I still think that what we do each day, being able to open the doors to the past players, that's important. I mean, we had a lot of great past players that were here this last week, and guys on the sideline. I mean, you see tears in their eye, just because they care so much, because it meant so much, because they invested so much, because it is who they are and what they're all about. Because we said a ton. I mean, once a no, always a no. It doesn't ever go away. And being able to put on pads, it does. That's going to end, and it's going to end for guys at a lot of different times. But the passion, obviously the excitement, the belief in the program, that's forever. And so, yes, we absolutely take time to recognize that, and I'm looking forward to those guys being here. But it's also, it's daily.
Stay here for Brendan.
You touched on it a little bit already, but the senior class, especially the guys who were here when you got here from the very beginning, I guess what level of appreciation, the work that they put through, and the emotions, all that stuff that's gone into getting to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's the level of appreciation is all. I mean, it's it can't be any higher, because they said yes. They said yes, and it was hard. It was challenging. The experiences, there were highs and there were lows, and they said yes to continue to work continue to grow, continue to push themselves to, a lot of them, further than probably what they even thought they could get to. And but I believed in them, and they said yes, so did we. And it's our choice in being able to set the standard and to help paint the picture of what can be ahead. And a lot of these guys, they were able to stick it through. They were able to push. And when I'm sure plenty of people had other opinions on what they could or what they should do, but they believed in it. And they're great leaders on this team, wonderful teammates. They're just great examples of what this program's all about.
Second row on the left for Essen.
When you guys beat the Gators last year, the fans rushed the field. This year, the players kind of went and celebrated with the fans. Just how much does it mean to have the fans and be part of those when you guys win those games, those rivalry games?
Our fans are incredible, and that atmosphere on Saturday, it was special. And we had a little over 100 recruits that were here, and so it's been a busy weekend, and you get a chance to visit with them after, and everyone I talked to, I was like, "What'd you think, Coach? That atmosphere? I mean, it stands out. You feel it. It's incredible, and for our players, they feed off of that." And you understand, and I think I've said this before, but I told them there on Saturday before we came. I said, when you get that legacy walk, take it in for a second. I mean, just realize, and from the minute we got off that bus, man, the energy, and we felt it all week. You know what's building up to, but you take it in. You realize who you get to represent. And when you run out on that field, I mean, it was electric. And you see, so obviously when our guys we finished that game, and to see them run over in the student section and the fans, and just being able to have that time, I think it does show the appreciation for all those that support us. But it wasn't just this week. I mean, we talked about it last week. We went on the road and last 2 conference road games. At Pittsburgh and North Carolina. I mean, we had, I'd say half, but we had a lot of people that were there supporting this team, and that's one of the great things about where we are, and it is who we represent and just support that they give as we continue to push.
We'll go to Corey, second row on your right.
Got a two-parter, multi-layered for you.
Multi-layered.
First off, the last 2 weeks seems like more than usual tackles behind the line of scrimmage for your offense. Is there a common theme to what's going wrong with those? And then I'll wait for that answer, then do the second part.
Well, it's not a 2-for-1 if you.
No, yeah.
Okay. So first part,
Yeah.
no. I mean, that's something that we have to clean up. And it's not one specific. We faced a lot of pressure these last 2 weeks. And, when you face that amount of pressure, there's always there's variable levels of why a negative happens, or what you could do better in that. And there's certain things up front, certain things whether it's a track or a run or a read or a possibility of getting the ball out or a hot throw, different things that showed up that helped allow the negatives. And there's things that I can be better at, as a play caller. If I, where can I help put guys in a better position? So we're all take ownership in that, but that's something that has to improve. And the last 2 weeks we've had way too many negatives offensively that put us in long yardage situations. And so starting with me, I've got to be better. And as we're going to work as we get into this week, some of those things that we talked about having to improve upon. That's obviously a big focus.
I know he had a 200-yard game this year, but is that the best Trey Benson has run this season, or the hardest, I guess?
Well, he was great the other night, and I mean, he had some hard runs where it maybe wasn't just a big run. Then the couple of them that absolutely showed up, and he was, he looked great, and I was proud of him. He showed up when we needed him to, and I thought he was one of the key factors to that victory, because I mean he ran with unbelievable purpose and did a wonderful job.
I believe your staff, Sports Information, put out a statistic that Kalen DeLoach with 7 sacks is it's the most sacks a linebacker for Florida State has had since '93.
You put that up?
Good
Good job.
Kalen, I mean, coming into the season, he had 4 career sacks. If you could talk about him, and is he also kind of like a perfect example? I know there are a lot of them, but of those guys that from where they were when you got here to where they are now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's had an exceptional year, and I think, you look at the production that he's had, tackles, sacks, tackles for loss. Just fumble recovery, big one. He's been all over the field for us, and you see his progression over the last few years, and he's a wonderful player. He's very smart. He studies the game. He embraces that part of it, which allows us to do so much with him. And I think when you look, I thought Coach Fuller did a great job in the plan to get. That was a team that not given up very many sacks, and he did a great job in a couple of things schematically to try to get Kalen some the space necessary, and then when he hit it, that was it was impressive. And he's got great players around him that also help allow some of those one-on-one or one-on-none situations. And he is a tremendous playmaker, and he makes this football team better by his example. He makes this team better by his work. And he's really grown and matured over the years. Just the work ethic is something that that I'll forever be grateful for, because you've seen him really push himself, and I think that's what's earned the respect of his teammates. And yes, when you watch him on the field, he goes and he makes plays.
Come to Jordan, third row on your left.
Coach, last week against Pittsburgh, 37 runs, 37 passes. This week against Miami, 31 runs, 31 passes. How important is it for this team to be balanced on offense? How do you continue to call plays, and with that in mind?
Yeah, we always want to have an element of being balanced, but we want to score points, and that's the thing that helping put our guys in the best position to do that. We had some missed opportunities the other day that we're going to have to continue and improve upon. But the thing I'm really been pleased with our guys is just they've done a great job of taking care of the ball. They've done a great job of I think Jordan's made some wonderful decisions, and sometimes we're going back to a little bit of the negatives. There's he's made some decisions sometimes to take a negative rather than to force something that could be a catastrophic play. And he's done a great job. The running backs, receivers, all those guys. But we want to have balance. We want to take what teams are giving us, and then as games continue to evolve, being able to hopefully be able to open up the explosive runs and the opportunities that can be provided. But I thought our guys they know, and they work hard, and we want to be balanced, and it's something that we get to continue to work to improve, and just making sure we're scoring in as many opportunities as we can.
We've got time for 2 more. We'll come back to Essen.
I think you had a strong defense all season, but Adam Fuller's ability, to adjust to whatever is happening in the second half. Just talk about that and just how great he has been to, for the second half adjustments to help the team, pull out wins.
Yeah, Adam's done a remarkable job, and I think him, the defensive staff. They're so very well coordinated in what they do, and then it's one thing to have ideas of how to adjust. It's another thing to be able to implement that throughout the course of the game, and for the players to be confident in it, players to be able to go out and execute it. The efficiency and communication. Obviously the versatility and things that we can do in the moment, and that's some of the challenges that we faced earlier, in the year with, communications where we might have had, a mishap, something that, you have to grow through those. And nobody wants to experience them, but because we could do multiple things, because, some of those elements that you could now reference back to maybe in the course of a game, it allows us to be multiple. And then it allows us to, if somebody's come in, I thought they did a good job in one of their personnel packages, and we gave up a little bit too much space inside on the run game, and they were able to pop a couple runs. And but I thought we did a great job making adjustments in the second half to eliminate some of that space. And other than the onside kick, which was something that we knew we were going to do going in the game. I think that was the only time in the second half that they had a snap on our side of the 50. It was impressive to see our defensive. Just mentality and the execution. Obviously, we gave up the big play, but that was one of those that that we'll continue to get better and eliminating that. But it's I thought they did a great job, and he's doing a great job of leading the group. But our players are doing a great job in being able to execute and adapt in those situations.
Last one will be Aslan, back right.
Coach, 2 national outlets were discussing a coaching vacancy and put your name on a potential list. I know you can't control your name being involved in those things, but what is your sort of reaction when these things happen, and how do you manage that in your conversations?
Yeah, there's not really any point to talk about it. In a sense, I mean, it's funny how how sometimes those things get out there and people want to try to use that, and especially in recruiting and things like that. Well, I told recruits 2 years ago, and a lot of these guys that we're recruiting now, I said, well, it's funny, 2 years ago, every coach was talking about, well, how long is he going to be there? They better win some games or he's not. But I told him then, I said, watch, in 2 years, everybody's going to be trying to use the other thing. Well, but this is like that. I can't control any of that, and obviously, we're so excited about what we're building here, where we're going, the opportunity that's ahead. I mean, this is it's a special place, and that's I think that speaks for itself. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and but I can't control all those things.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great one.
Just wondering if you could just reflect on how the offense played Saturday. I think that's a very good defense you were going up against. It seemed like you guys had some chances maybe to kind of blow it open. It didn't. Is that frustrating, or is that just kind of more motivation going?
No, it's reality. When we watch the film as an offense, when you play against defense, you can't have 10, 9, or 8. You need all 11, because if the one person is not on their job, that defense is going to make the tackle. And usually when you see bad defenses, you can have 10 and 2 guys will miss a tackle and you go score for 80. But we play against good defenses, and that was right up there with the Clemsons, the Dukes, the Miamis. You can't have one mishap or they'll tackle you, and instead of 51 yards, you get 3 yards or 2. So it was a good lesson of just basically everybody having to execute and making sure we maintain blocks. Good defenses, they get blocked, but then they do block destruction. I think Miami does a good job of that. And so we knew that coming in. So we had a couple that could have, shoestring here, cut here, one block away, but, that was the reality of the contest.
The offensive line, like we can see it up in the press box, like Maurice is crawling sometimes after a player, or Darius limps off the field and goes back on. Like that, maybe not the effort or the performance that you guys want at times, but knowing what those guys are going through, as a coach, how much do you retain or appreciate that?
Yeah, I mean, they know they appreciate it, but they also understand the standard of once you're out there. It's not like a hand clap or anything like that. If you're out there, you're expected to perform, and if you can't perform, don't go out there. So the standard still remains the standard in that regard. But no, man, we knew, what that game was going to be. We kept it simple, but, I thought for the most part they did what we asked them to do. We didn't take, we didn't turn the ball over. We didn't force anything. We didn't, we're normally a lot more aggressive, of course, but I thought the game plan that Coach had was really good and executed well, but it's a lot of missed opportunities that mostly disappointed us. When we had the chance to hit them and hit them guard, you saw, that one-leg tackle, or we just overshot it a little bit with the throw, or just little things like that, or a screen and Jaheim, one he cut back, all those little things like that we got to take advantage of what's there when you're playing good defenses, because you're not going to break 3, 4, 5 tackles and things like that. So I think that was a learning point from that game.
Trey Benson seemed to run very hard in that game. Can you just speak on his performance and how close was he to getting a lot more yardage than he actually ended up with?
Yeah, I told him the 2 runs, that were favoring him in the game was the first carry where, it was kind of a scrum, and he went in there and it should have been stopped for 1, but he got 5. And the one he hit in the red zone and the touchdown. I mean, they were in a bare presentation, and we were 1 short, and he still got in. You saw the O-line finishing in the end zone to get him in the end zone. So, that's real ball when you're playing against real defenses. So I like that mentality and that attacking mentality of finding a way to get it done, even when the situation is not ideal that you want to be in. So I was proud of him for those 2 runs. Of course, everybody saw the long one, but that was one clean, everything blocked up. You got him, and there's not many of those going to show up when you're playing against a good sound defense.
Coach, 3 for 12 on 3rd down, 2 field goals in the red zone. What were some of the problems situationally that you guys faced, and how can you fix that going forward, towards the end of the year?
It was a kind of not a really mixed bag, just more communication one time with a signal, being able to sustain amount of blocks for a longer period of time when you got speed coming off the edges, decision making and all that kind of good things. But above all of that, I thought the positive coming out of it was not to force something catastrophic, a forced throw, a fumble, pressing or doing too much and not just taking what they give. If they don't give nothing, make sure we leave with a punt to flip the field, because I thought that was going to be big in that game to make them drive the long field. So just being smart because you've seen us play aggressive and really attack, and we wanted to do those things. We had those drawing up, but what I thought was we didn't make a bad play a bad day. So a lot of things we got to clean up, get improved, and we watched every one of them and making sure we're held accountable for that. But also, at the end of the conversation was don't make a bad play a bad day. We owned the ball, we didn't turn it over, and we didn't try to, do too much that could have caused them to have a little bit of momentum or give them the ball in the red zone or that thing that couldn't flip the field, which would have been detrimental.
You guys haven't given up a ton of sacks this year. They get 3, and it seemed like on at least a couple of them, it was almost like they were getting on Jordan quicker than he expected. Was there anything, was the protection not what he – were guys coming from areas he wasn't expecting, or were they faster than he might have expected? Or what do you
No, the last sack, they brought them all. And Mo, they did a defense where the shade was crossing face, and he anticipated the same thing that happened. It didn't, and the linebacker shot. So they were on him quick that last sack for sure. The other one was a roll out the pocket, came out late by 31. We had the tackle and the back out there, and I think when he scrambled left, and, we didn't realize that he had scrambled left, but he had already kind of vacated the pocket, and it got on him pretty quickly. And the other one, I believe, we actually still got I think Jeren, I know JB won with the holding call when he escaped the pocket to the right, and they recorded that one. Those are the ones I remember. So I think it was just more of, we teach them every play is his own play. So what happened the last 3rd down might not happen the next 3rd down, even though it might be the same presentation. And I think he learned a lesson. Now, of course, you're not going to say, oh, he was, he wasn't a self, he wasn't 100%, but the reality of it is you can't assume something unless you know for sure. We got to play reactionary football. And he tried to, guess it once, and that's a part of it. But I think, both of it, man, they were fast. They could run. We knew their defense was fast coming in. So, they got up on us pretty quick.
You were talking about Maurice there at the end?
At the last one. The last one was, was when I got on the most, because they brought them all, and we hit a shot. But the last 2, they did something a little bit different. That's what good defense, they present it, and then bam, it's something different. And my reaction time had to be on point. So you hear me early in interviews, I talk about the flashes of the game and how we have to be a reactionary, and our reaction time have to match it for the lesson learned for the future. So, we're still getting better. Got to put him in a better position and make him understand that better going into the game. But he also understood it after. He wasn't out there running on the field celebrating nothing. He knew he had some things to get improved.
With senior day this week, obviously a pretty important senior class for how kind of things have been rebuilt in the first 4 years here. I'm wondering if Jordan's probably at the top of that list. I'm wondering if you have a couple moments or memories. There are so many to choose from that stand out from Jordan, your favorites.
Well, yeah, they have allowed our staff to enjoy full circle, even the context of questions that you get. It goes from, critiquing are you ever going to win to how you win now, which is a full circle progress of anything. And even seeing young men in their lives who I used to chase to class and chase them to practice, who are beating us to practice and already understanding the mistakes when they get to the sideline. That's why you don't see these huge blow-ups. So all full circle. Now, Jordan in particular, what you remember is just his journey of going from not the guy to the team. And you know, that's what, you know, we love those stories in college football. You're not seeing them as much, you know, because of the landscape that we're in and the quick decisions and the things like that. But he is the true, man, the example of adversity, setbacks, change, and kept responding, and he's getting his just due for the process that he had to endure. And he's smiling a lot more. You know, he's having fun, and he's also understanding how to enjoy, even when there's adverse moments or things don't show up how they need to show up, to find a way and still get the completion of a team. Man, Jordan is enjoying every second of it, and I like to see that smile at the end of those games.
Not to be dismissive of Saturday's upcoming opponent, but how much do you like getting young O-linemen in the game, getting them game film, and giving them that opportunity against a different opponent to learn from it and take from it?
It's all earned, you know, because we already rotating 8 guys, you know, so it's really just earned. You know, did we earn the right to do that, or I won't put them out there at all. So it's good. Their preparation throughout the week, the reports I'm getting, because we watch the scout team film too. You know, I put the film together and critique those guys down there, because a down block and a base block is a reach block no matter where you're at and what you're doing with it. And a pass set is a pass set, so it's all development. So everything is earned the right to, if you get in those situations, to give them a reward for the work they're putting in that week. But no, that speaks to nothing to the opponent. That's always on what we're doing and how we handling business. So, yeah, it doesn't matter who you're playing. And if they've earned the right to play, they'll play. And if not, they won't, no matter what the situation is.
You touched on it with the sacks, but Corey was asked Coach Norvell earlier about some of the tackles for loss that have kind of mounted the last few weeks. How much of that do you feel like is things you guys need to look at scheme-wise, or is it just simply execution?
Both. We had a couple of things in this game plan that we didn't probably carry into this game that were new. We got called twice on it. A lot of it is just sometimes it's always, you know, of course, you can say one guy getting beat on the inside move, or I can say the back should have cut it back, or different aspects like that. But the reality of it is you don't need any. And we got to make sure not only scheme-wise, but assignment-wise, and also understanding of situation, where is that situation where there's 1st and 10, or is it 3rd and short? What is that defender going to do? Cadence, snap counts. Are they jumping it? Do we need to slow down and kind of change the count a little bit to catch them slipping, which we caught them one time on the screen? So it's just all encompassed of those things need to be improved as we go. And, you know, and that's not only the scheme, that's always, you know, am I handling the situation well? That's what I love about our team, is that when we have these meetings and we show the things that need to be corrected, they're saying them before we put them on the screen. So there's an investment of, man, coach, I got you, you know, or I tell you, man, no, that was a bad call, man. We should have called that something different in that situation, because we didn't think they were going to go 0 there, you know. So the combination of both ownership has to breed improvement on both sides.
Coach, you rotated the offensive line as little as you have this year. Was that more of matchup-based, or more kind of just like trusting the veterans in a big spot?
No, I think we had some guys that probably needed a little time to heal up a little bit, and that's the good thing about rotating. We've rotated so many that if I get a guy that needs, you know, kind of, you know, that body needs a little bit more, we got guys that can step in there and handle the business. So we look at it as things as just attacking it as a unit. But KJ, you know, he got in there and rolled. He was the guy that kind of rolled really well, and Darius was a warrior out there, and then Bless had to spell him. But I like Darius in those games. You know, if you look at it, at Darius and the most, they took every rep pretty much, because they've been in those games, those atmospheres and emotion and things like that. I knew they could control, and they control the guys next to them. So I thought that was a smart play. And we also didn't play as many plays. You know, it was about 60 plays, I think, total. So the play count was a little down, too, so we didn't get in too deep into the rotation. But, no, I thought the guys that we entrusted to go out there did a good job. And I thought KJ, when his name was called upon, he gave us some good sets.
Sorry, just one more. Coach Norvell talked about the discipline from the offense. Jordan mentioned a lot how much trash talk Miami was doing. How important was it for you guys to keep your cool? Because it felt like the Miami defense was talking after every play, you know, trying to bring you guys into the mess.
It goes back to the thing I talked about with the 3rd downs, where we couldn't do anything to give them anything. You know, we had to make them earn it. And, you know, we had, I think, we didn't have any false starts, any, you know, on offensively, we didn't have any personal fouls. So we didn't give them any advantage points to be able to flip the field and get a free 7 or get a momentum swing, or we don't have the advantage with them, not make them go march 80 on the other side, because you got to play complementary football. So I was proud of our guys for their emotional control. Now we got to be better on some aspects about football, especially when you're playing a good, solid defense. But overall, as far as not putting us in a very compromised decision, you see, because it comes down to one possession. I think Coach put out a stat the last 23 times or something like that. Like, I think 18 of them have come down to a possession. So, you know, looking at history and things like that, we just want to make sure we put ourselves in a position where we don't give away a game because of our lack of mental discipline or focus. So I thought, you know, handling that, that was the first thing I complimented them on was, you know, their focus and maintaining those kind of emotional type games.
It's not a huge deal, but you guys don't usually call timeouts on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything specifically happened in this game where you guys, it seemed like a couple times maybe guys weren't lined up right or didn't get the calls right or something like that?
Yeah, I don't. A couple of times is we had some things built in that we wanted to do certain things to specific things, and we also, that going back to the other two, we didn't want to do anything that was going to put us in a compromising situation. So, you know, because like you said, those games come down to one possession, no matter what the situation is, that game historically has come down to it. So instead of having something catastrophic happen, we would go ahead and take the timeout. Now, we had some miscommunication things we got to clean up and all that kind of good stuff with some guys playing in there and rotating in there that they probably couldn't play a lot in practice and all those kind of scenarios. But at the end of the day, we didn't want to make a bad play a bad day. So we were hyper, you know, elevated in making sure that didn't happen. So you saw those timeouts come out a little bit earlier.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.
Another really strong second half defensively, except for the one busted play, the long pass. Is that a situation just a bad angle, or what was Kevin's explanation for what went wrong on that play?
Talking about the bad play?
Yes. I need to compliment first.
You know, Fenn kind of got beat off the line of scrimmage, but he was making up ground, so he was going to play the hands. You know, really when the ball got caught, I was just hoping Kevin either didn't get a penalty or he made a play on the ball. Just, he was on a bang, you know, and somehow, some way, he just misjudged the play and he actually clipped off Fentrell, and next thing you know, he's untouched in the end zone. So really poor play by us. Got to be better.
Speaking of the second half and the good stuff, what did you guys do that kind of helped change up everything? And especially the D-line, seemed like first half Miami had some success on the right side. What did you adjust there to deal with that accordingly?
Yeah, there were a few runs in the first half that just, you know, whether we pressured or whether we played technique, like we either got up the field too far on the edge or got covered up inside. You know, it wasn't a schematic thing when a few balls hit. You know, it was just really tightening up from the outside in, and whether it was through pressure, whether it was through technique. And, you know, I thought in the second half, you know, I knew, you know, we were going to try to recover that onside kick, and, you know, I felt really good about us getting it. And all of a sudden when we didn't, it was just an opportunity for that sudden change. I think that really energized the guys, you know, to hold them to that field goal there. And, you know, so I just think that was the start of it. And, you know, every time we've needed them this year, they've stepped up. So, you know, I appreciate the work they put in for all 60 minutes, but in that second half, we needed them, and they did a great job.
With senior day this week, I know a lot of people, I feel like, talk about the transfers on your defense, but there are a few guys who've been through it and really committed early on. I guess guys like Kalen and Akeem, what have they meant, and what's Saturday mean for them to get to honor them like that?
You know, I just think the strength of the story is just, you know, the different ways that we brought people in, and there's guys we've recruited that are now in their fourth year. There are guys that have been here, and especially on defense, it's just there's a great group of guys. You mentioned Kalen. We can go through them all on name, but there's not a lot of them that were super successful 4 years ago. And so to see that kind of come full circle and to see the impact they have, not only on our defense, but our team, it makes it pretty clear to everybody, how far this program's come, to see how far these individuals have come within the team. It's just, it'll be an emotional day Saturday. Every Saturday is, but just knowing it's their last time playing here in this stadium.
So how did it change your philosophy in the final couple of minutes when their quarterback gets hurt, and then, Van Dyke, who we talked about last week, because we thought he was going to play, he can sling it, and then he hits a couple of passes. Like, what are you thinking? What does it change anything about the way you were going to defend them when 9 comes on the field after 17 got hurt?
Yeah, as the game was going, the formations, the run schemes, the protections were all the same. But their route concepts were very different with the Williams kid playing quarterback. The game he started against Clemson, they ran the ball for over 220 yards, and they didn't really ask him to do much, and they could run the ball, And so when we forced him to throw some, all the routes were just different. And so when Van Dyke came in and he threw that one sail route that Greedy almost picked off, it told me right away, okay, it's going back to the original plan of, with Van Dyke. So, just those things, I don't make much of who's playing quarterback because sometimes it doesn't really matter. You got to find when it matters and how it matters, because that's different for each team. It's different for each quarterback. And so, it changed gears a little bit, but I don't force the players to change the gear. That's my job. And, it obviously was just basically close to that just final drive, so there wasn't a lot of time to bring them over and say, this is what's happening. They just got to know how we're going to call the game, and this is what this call takes away. So it's my job to know that, give them the information, then they go and execute.
When I asked Coach Norvell about Kalen's success as a blitzer, he gave credit to you for the scheme stuff. He gave credit to the guys up front for drawing the assignments that they draw. But it seems like he's got a unique ability to come at a really high level of speed and also finish the play. Is that something he's developed and worked on, or is it instinctual?
Well, he's always had burst to the ball, and I think as he's developed physically and as he's developed as a football learner, I think he takes those blitz timers, because every offense has certain triggers that you can use to time things up. I think he listens to that. I think he understands how we blitz and the protections. I think it also brings credit to our guys up front, that there's a lot of attention paid to those 4 players. And so when you bring a guy off the line of scrimmage, some of it's just really good timing, and I know when we send him, he's going to go in the right amount of speed, and he probably should have had another one back there too. And it was about the 3rd time we brought it on the same pressure. I think finally the quarterback says, "Okay, I've seen this before. I got to go protect myself." And he gave him a little bit of anticipation, and the ball got away, and Malcolm was there, and that's when we got the holding call on AZ on the 3rd down that should have been a stop. But I can't say enough about where he's come, how he's come, and I actually told the defense on Saturday, one of the unique things is there's no secret. We've gotten better because we've gotten better out there. Over the last 4 years, I can go and show a time lapse of a Tuesday practice to a Wednesday practice and just the consistency, the effort. But you walk out there on Tuesday and Kalen will be the first one sprinting out to each segment of practice. And, that's something that he bought into early, and it's reaping the benefits.
You mentioned practice, and just whether it's Coach Storms in the offseason or you guys during the season, you really wear these kids down in practice and in these sort of situations. But just the fact of what you guys have been doing in the second half of games the last 5-6 weeks, like this growing kind of confidence. Have you ever been at this point as a coordinator, being this assured in who you guys are at that point of a crucial football game?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, been coaching really good defense for a long time, and these guys are now developing the confidence, but the confidence is through the work, because there is no secret to how this gets done. I think that's where it's showing up. There's no second guessing about this is the plan. Okay, now we got to adjust the plan, or continue on the plan, or now this guy's going in, and just the belief. The recruitment's been important to develop or bring in enough players that you feel like you can push the competition, that you can push more players playing that will keep you fresher in the second half of the games or the second half of the season. I think that has something to do with it too. I think it goes to our players' intelligence too. The more plays they run, the more bank you continue to build upon. And I think, in the offseason, obviously we do a great job with planning, the structure, and the workouts. But the way the rules are now, you can meet with these guys throughout the season a lot with some football, and you can just build some fundamental knowledge that they can draw back upon. I think they just pick things up quicker now, and they can use that. And it doesn't mean you're calling maybe a necessarily different game all the time, but their ability to take the information that you're giving them, what the offense is giving them, and process that in real time to go react and make plays, I think that's what you're seeing. And a combination with maybe adjustments or whatever that is for the players, coaches, the program on both sides of the ball. So,
Coach, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but when did you find out that Emery was going to be the starting quarterback, and how much did that affect the game plan?
I went out to watch warm-ups, and he was throwing the ball to the student manager that was catching the ball, and the other quarterbacks were playing catch with each other. That usually tells you that the starting quarterbacks get somebody else catching the ball for them. So that's when I kind of figured it out.
Jeren got to be, Jarian got to be the hero with the interception at the end of the game. I know he's a guy who's kind of like a few other guys, bounced around, had a few different roles, and kind of is one of those guys who's really, what do you think's been the biggest difference for him this year? It feels like he's played at a consistently high level, and he talked last year after the Florida game about how it feels like he's totally changed the perception of how people view him.
Yeah, I've always believed in him, and every time he'd start to get some momentum, there'd be an injury, and then the setback, and how that went. And I think just a few years ago, he really made up his mind that, listen, things are going to happen that I can't control, but regardless of what it is, I'm going to show up every day and try to be my very best. And that's what he's done a great job of. And, just even what he's done this year, I think he's got great corner skill. He's done what's best for the team. We moved him in a nickel, and he's grabbed that. He played some dime Saturday night, too, because there were some 10 personnel. And, just to see him go and take that ball away late in the game, but also to hold who I think is a pretty good slot receiver to no catches between him and Greedy. He is so dialed in, not just on what he's doing, but what we're doing. And you just see his intensity on Thursday walkthroughs. If the scout guy doesn't give the right route, and he'll look at me and be like, did this change? I thought this is how it's going to go. I said, J-Dub, he ran it wrong. And they look at him and say, you got to run that correctly, and go and coach him. So think of that and where that's come from, right? And, what he does on special teams, what he does on defense, it just shows proof. If you recruit the right people, regardless of success early or failure early, stick to it, stick to the plan, work hard at it, understand there's going to be ups and downs, stay consistent, trust yourself, and go to work. And that's what he's done, and now he's one of the better DBs in the country.
I think at Saturday's game, Xavier Rhodes, Brian McFadden, some of those guys were out there on the sideline. In previous games, you had Derek Brooks, obviously, and people like that. And then this Saturday, you're going to have the 2013 team coming back. Did you realize, when you guys came here, that how big of a part of that was going to be part of being, in terms of, obviously you knew Florida State's legacy, but just what it means for these current players to have those guys coming back and those relationships?
Yeah, I knew just being a football, being a main part of my life, obviously when the first day I got here, and you walk in and you know about the history, you know about the names, and, maybe my second day here is when I went out in that field and Coach Andrews called me and said, hey, I'd love to meet you. And obviously Odell was already here. Ron was already here. And then maybe my third day, I meet with a bunch of the players just in one-on-one meetings. I walk in the defensive staff room, and somebody grabbed me and said, hey, we have some guys that want to meet you. And it's Derek Brooks in Shade Tree. And so, I saw them and saw, the linebacker room, and, I said, wow, that's pretty cool. But, it's just, to see Derek on the sideline sometimes, obviously we coached to Kalen, so that happened a little bit. But talk to T-Buck and just, to even go through the names, I met Timmy Jernigan, there's so many names out there now, and you feel, now that we've been here, going on the 4th year, you feel very connected and invested, and you feel like you are a Seminole, and you feel the connectivity of these guys, and obviously success brings all the excitement back, right? But I think it goes beyond that, and I think it's because of how Coach Bowden ran the program. These guys were invested more than wins and losses. They didn't check in and then check out and go on to the next endeavor. They come back, or they support the team, and it's just, it's not a secret. Recruiting is going to go really well around here because we're winning, but it's also going to go really well because of the people that have come through here in the past. People see what they are doing post-football and how they carry themselves, and I think the allure of what Florida State University goes beyond the football field, and I think the biggest seller of that and product is the players that have come out of here.
A few other players who've been here since the beginning for you guys, Renardo, Akeem, Dennis, I think that's everyone. Can you talk about their growth individually and their progress as well during their time with you?
Man, you could spend a lot of time on each one, and just to see what Renardo's gone through, when I got here, we were at a shortage at safety. We were a shortage at a couple spots, and to move him, then the injuries that he had to go through, and then, to make the decision moving back to corner last year, and just to see his toughness and grit show through, and, he's always been an ultra competitor. Just unbelievable job. And you mentioned Akeem. Akeem's similar road. We was a safety when we got here. We moved him back to corner. He really had a tough year coming off of an injury. After a bunch of, studies and informations and talking, we moved back to safety, and now he's playing really good football. And he's going to be a starting DB on a team that's won back-to-back 10+ seasons. And we talked about J-Dub, Dennis Briggs, who again, you talk about the group that you just talked about, B, and there's been position changes. There's been injuries to all of those guys. There's been a lot of failure, and to see them now climbing towards the pinnacle of their game on a really good team, what I am probably the most excited about, yes, their success, but what that's going to do for them a year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, when they can look upon this, and when things come up, they can stand up and know they've been through things before, and they've come out the other side with success. And so I think that's the narrative to that group, and they've been huge building blocks on what this looks like right now. Thanks, guys. See you guys.
MVP, Alex Mastromano, just flipping the field and just what he did, with different variations of punts, get the, make sure you got a couple, I think, pins out of 10. I think 4 of them inside of 20, and then there's one that he was backed up all the way up. So just, he had different, kicking things he had to do in that game, but just talk about his game overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alex did a tremendous job. He was certainly a critical factor in us winning that game. Our ability to control the field position, his ability to pin them deep and create bad field position. It started early in the game, and he kind of kept it up throughout the course of the game. Really negated their opportunity to return any kicks, except for the one that we were backed up in the end zone. So I thought he did a tremendous job. I think the great thing about it and the cool thing is that his teammates, they all recognize it too. He's one of the guys that helped break the rock on Saturday night. And I think it just speaks to how he's grown in the program and the respect that his teammates have for him and what an impactful day that he really had.
Coach, with the onside kick, did you know about it going into the game? How did you think the execution was? I mean, it looked like it was just one bounce away from falling into your arms.
Early in the week, that was part of the game plan. We were going to use it in the game. If we had won the toss and we had deferred to the second half, we probably would have used it in the first half. And with them winning the toss and deferring and us kicking off to start the second half, that's when we thought the best opportunity was to use it. It was always part of the plan, and it had nothing to do with how the game was flowing at that point in time. It was just part of the plan. It was something that was there. Our guys executed it well. We didn't get, the ball took a little bit of a high hop, and it gave them an opportunity to react to it. But, I think it was the right call, and we would 100% do it again if given the opportunity based on the look that we were provided.
On Keon's punt return that set up the score, can you talk about what the other 10 guys on that play did beyond Keon?
Yeah, for a guy to be able to make a play, you certainly need guys giving great effort and blocking. I thought there were some really, really key blocks, but one of the ones I do want to point out on that one was from Trey Jacobs. He's not a starter on the punt return unit. As a matter of fact, that was the first play he'd ever played in a return unit setting, but he kind of got beat off the line of scrimmage. He was really put in a position that he wasn't accustomed to be playing, but because of some injury, we need to put him in. And he did a phenomenal job recovering, just showing great effort. And he was really the one, after Keon made the first guy down miss, he was really the one that sprung it and turned it into a big play. So, I thought he did a tremendous job. But really, when you look across the board, there was a bunch of guys on that return that did a really nice job. And I think what you do see from our team is a great buy-in, a great excitement to what is happening with the return units. And I really believe that every time we take the field, they think that they're going to go make a play. I can tell by just the way that they take the field that they're excited about the opportunity, and it's starting to reflect. In almost every game, there's been an opportunity, especially the second half of the year, to bring one back, and that was a critical play in the game.
2 micro questions. The first one is that just how their punter punts? Is that kind of just trying to keep it away from the return guy? And then also, what challenges that present? And then also, they've got an explosive kick return guy that you guys really did a good job on. How well that unit performed?
Yeah. So, in terms of their punter, he is also he's a roll punter, an Aussie kid who does have really good ability to control the ball. They were probably, I think, statistically going into the game about 33% cross kick, which means roll to your right, kick it back across the field, and the other 2/3 obviously were more traditional roll punts. Against us, I think there was certainly a concerted effort to try to keep the ball out of Keon's hands. I think Keon did a great job of fielding all the kicks that he could. Obviously we had the one muff that we'd like to have back, but trying to get to all the balls that he could. But yeah, he's a good player for them, and he's a weapon. In terms of their returner, I thought he was a really good player going into it. I still feel like he's a really good player coming out of it. But I thought our guys really did a good job in terms of executing what we ask them to do, and then playing with great effort on the cover units. I mean, for us to be able to cover the two that they brought out as well as we did, I thought was just a great job by our guys, and I was proud of their effort and how they approached it.
Had Vandravius practiced being that? You said he hadn't done it in a game, but he had practiced that, right?
He had. He was our. He was the backup to one of the other guys in terms of that position.
Was he ready immediately when he realized? Because
Oh,
there's been
yeah.
other teams that maybe haven't been ready immediately and had 10 guys on the field for something like that. But he knew, somebody communicated with him right away, Vandravius, you got to go.
Yeah. So our training staff does a really, really good job of keeping us immediately updated in terms of the status of different players. So, and then we have, our strength staff and people on the sideline who do a great job with helping manage the personnel on our special teams. So, long-winded answer to your question is, immediately when the injury occurred, everywhere that player is on the depth chart, we were able to get his backup into the game, and Trey was one of those guys.
And then 3-for-1, the final third. Keon drops the one. Did he drop it or muff it? I didn't see what happened, but I guess the bigger overarching question is, a lot of kids maybe lose a little confidence when something like that happens, when he almost has a devastating turnover. That kid just goes and fields the next one and wants to go score a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't think that fazed him at all. And I think too, I think the style in which we coach is also a benefit in some of that regard, because when things like that happen, my thought process always is like, well, he didn't mean to. That's not what he was intending to do. So let's just go correct it. There's no reason to carry on. And I don't think that didn't faze him a bit. He was going to go out and he's going to field the next one. And to be honest with you, it didn't faze me a bit, because I was 100% confident that he was going to go out and field the next one. But that's the type of person he is, that's the type of player he is, and I think that's why he's having the season that he's having.
Deloach is obviously having a lot of success getting after the quarterback. After the game in the press conference, Akeem Dent was mad. He thought he had 3 sacks and he only got credit for 2. And how much have you seen the other guys? Because a lot of guys have to be unselfish to create those opportunities for him. How has that developed over the year? Well,
I think D'Lo has a great feel, and especially for those add-in kind of sacks that he's had. Obviously you have the pressures where he's part of the blitz, and I think he's a really good blitzer. So I think when he has those opportunities, he does take advantage of them. And then the other type of sack that he's really had, quite a few of, is where he's a late add into the pass rush. And I think that's a product of a lot of backs are staying in to be extra blockers in terms of protection. And if he's the one who's responsible for covering the back, he has that opportunity to add in. And I think he just has a real good feel, good patience for it. When he sees things open up and develop, he's able to go make a play. But I don't know exactly the number, but I think that's 6 or 7 sacks that he has on the year, and that's a big number for our linebacker, especially for a team like us that doesn't blitz him a ton. I mean, he pressures some, but it's not like it's a let's focus on ways just to bring him in pressures, and he's just done a really good job.
In the first half, it looked like defensive ends were rushing too far up the field and giving up massive rush lanes. In the second half, there was a big improvement from the entire defense in the running game. Can you talk about some of that improvement and what you saw from the defensive ends?
Yeah, I think some of the things that Miami was doing schematically in the run game, I thought was probably pretty well thought out in terms of how they were trying to get our guys to get up the field a little bit. Once we got a better feel for what we were seeing, I thought we adjusted well. That's one thing I do think our team does an exceptional job of is making those adjustments and then being able to go out and execute them. I thought we played a lot tighter, a lot more, fundamentally sound in the run game in the second half, and I think that obviously showed up.
Anything else? All right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.